What is up, everybody? It's the Inhuman one here with part 1 of the Liza P Overture DLC Ultimate 100% walkthrough. And in today's video, we're going to be making sure that we not only are prepared for the DLC, we're going to be doing some housekeeping as well to make sure we do the last few bits of items and collect the last few bits of items we may have missed in the 100% guide itself. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys are aware that the DLC is quite challenging. And you are at least given the opportunity to change the difficulty at any time. So if for whatever reason it's getting a little too tough, you can always change the difficulty from Legendary Stalker to the kind of one-step lower difficulty, which is going to be Awakened Puppet, or the Butterfly's Guidance, which is going to be quite easy in the sense of the amount of damage that you take versus the damage that you deal is going to be nice and inversely related. So you'll deal much more damage than what you receive. So in either case, we're going to be running on the Legendary Stalker difficulty to kind of show you guys how to best deal with it. But I wanted to make sure you guys have not only maxed out these two weapons for the guide, the electric coil, but also the salamander dagger. Let's make sure that those are plus 10. If you followed along the guide previously, you'll have plenty of materials in order to actually get these to plus 10. This is just a new game file. This is not a new game plus file. So we should have plenty of resources and materials needed to upgrade our weapons. We are going to want to make sure that we watch our capacity as well. So there's going to be a potential need for us to go for some quality of life choices that we can make along the way. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to show you guys kind of the P organ setup that we have. More than anything, everybody's is going to be slightly different, and that's perfectly fine. But what you want to prioritize is your Fable slots, your grindstone uses, and for quality of life, your Legion arm slots. So that's where I talk about the capacity. You can have 2 arm slots. However, if you have both of them equipped, you're going to be a little bit heavier, so you're going to want to have the capacity to offset that. So in either case, those are probably the most important. No matter what, make sure you have the multiple uses for the special grindstone. Whatever the individual choices you make for your kind of attributes is perfectly fine. And it's going to be suited to what your playstyle is. So if you want to make sure you have and for instance, I have reduced durability consumption and perfect guard regain, things of that nature, that's just going to work for me. So whatever works best for you is perfectly fine. So what we're going to do is from here, we're also going to make sure we do the most important thing, which is, of course, mastering our sexy and changing our outfit. So we have to make sure we look good, because if we look good, it means we feel good, which means we play good. So we're going to go with the Alchemist gear for now. And what we can also do is I'd like to just take a quick look at this particular file. I haven't played it since October of 2023, actually. So let's see. We're going with a decent amount of vigor, capacity, and mostly advance, which is fantastic. Okay, so we're going to be pumping lots of points into advance and capacity. So that's going to be a nice build, good damage building kind of setup as well. So this is going to be fantastic. Really excited about this. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm going to show you guys how to get everything in a new game file. Keep in mind that things like the golden records are only available in New Game Plus. So first things first, whenever you begin the DLC, you're actually going to get an item that is called the Star Chrysalis. So I'm going to show you what that looks like as well. This is going to be a kind of story-based item that you immediately get just upon purchasing the DLC and launching the game. So this here is called the Star's Chrysalis. This is going to allow you to access the DLC. So once you actually log in, the first time you activate the Stargazer, you're going to teleport to the 5th area. And in the 5th area, we have the Path of the Pilgrim, which is going to lead us to the DLC. Now keep in mind that there is one thing that we're going to do before all of this, and we're going to do some housekeeping, right? So I'm telling you how to start the DLC. What we want to do is go to the 5th area, go to the Path of the Pilgrim. It's only accessible if you've completed through Chapter 9 and defeated the kind of like the infected carcass puppet variant of the Parade Master. So what we're going to do though first is we're going to check a few things. We can go to the actual Opera House itself, and inside the Opera House we're going to grab an item. It's the Red Lady's Locket. We had the white variant, but for whatever reason during the 100% guide, I failed to pick that up. So we're going to go pick that up really quickly. And then there should be one item behind the Saintess statue as well. Really easy to miss, honestly. You don't even have to ever enter that area, and there's no real need to do it because the golden tree itself all can be used to upgrade or change your stats, and reset your attribute points, but you know, it's all good and well. So we have our electric coil in here. We're going to be doing massive amounts of damage to these lower level enemies right now. Remember how tough it was when we were first here though, right? Let's go ahead and safely clear out this area. Reacquaint ourselves with the moveset. Lovely. Remember, disruption is quite bad. There you go. We'll find out our favorite combo. I still remember the salamander dagger combo, so we'll be in good shape there. But we're going to make this little path here. I think we're being pursued. When we investigate the body, we'll find the red actress's locket. And that's going to complete that part of our collection. We'll take her out. Punish her for being too curious. And then we can go ahead and head back down here. If you're watching the VOD and you've already done this, then feel free to skip ahead to the portion where we go straight into the DLC. But this is just for the people that had been following along frame by frame essentially and were missing out on just a few of these items. So the next item should be just a lore piece that we're going to get from the Saintess of Mercy statue. And I did also want to mention that my controller, although it's only like 6 months old, is acting up quite a bit. So the left stick is constantly pressing forward. So sometimes in dialogue options or menuing, you're going to see the choices kind of bounce around like crazy. And a little bit of that jiggle there. You see that jiggle all the time. That's not me. So that's So Said Pistress 1. And that would be the 2 items that we missed. So that's it, guys. You've now 100%ed the base game 2 years later. So let's jump into the fun stuff, which is going to be the new DLC. We're going to go to the Path of Pilgrim, and from here we are going to be returning to the Golden Stargazer. This is what we had kind of predicted years ago where the DLC would be, and we were right. It's always good to be right. And it's also even better to have you guys back, everybody that's coming back from the base game 100% guide. So let's go ahead and watch this cutscene. And you're going to see now that there's a new variant of butterfly, and it's the white butterfly. Butterflies are often kind of considered the manifestation of a wish. So I wonder whose wish this could be. So we're going to make our way over to the Golden Stargazer and activate it. And with that, the Stargazer, the Golden Stargazer of legend, is now fully functional. And it will allow us to go back and forth between timelines. We're actually going to be going back into the past. Using any Stargazer, we can toggle timelines and go to present or past. So here's kind of the introduction and the prompt that we are going into the Lies of P Overture DLC. So we do want to hold and activate. It does that because, yeah, it's like, are you sure you're ready? Because we did bump the difficulty a bit. And immediately upon going into this area, we're going to want to make sure we have the proper equipment. And I'm going to show you exactly what we need to have.
Oh, come on, pal, get up. I'm not sure what's going on, but we better check things out.
Alright, so now we're in the snowy area. We're going to be making our way to the very first stargazer, but we're not going to see the... If you see Carlo just go like this, that's not me. I promise. We're going to be changing our weapon to the salamander dagger that we just fully upgraded. And that's going to be kind of our major and primary weapon that we use to deal as much damage as possible. In terms of amulets, we're going to want to go with something that's going to enhance our damage against anything that is a carcass. So the carcass butcher's amulet isn't a bad thing to have. Not at all. It does plenty of damage. And then these here are also really good. If you want, we could increase our capacity or anything like that. It's really just a matter of preference. But for now, this is going to be great. This is going to hold us over. So let's go ahead and also see if we can change this out for, let's see, anything with max physical damage reduction is going to be the best. So yeah, we do have the best one right now, it seems. Yeah, pretty good. So I'm happy with this. We're going to run with this choice. And for the loadout, we're good to go. So another thing we're going to want to make sure we have is a free belt slot so we can ensure that we have some room, okay? And before we get started, you want to make sure that the grindstone that you have is, of course, the perfect grindstone, which is going to allow us to perfect guard. And this is going to come in a lot of handy. We are using the puppet string legion arm, which is still by far one of the best in the entire game. So,
okay, there's got to be a stargazer nearby. Be on the lookout, pal.
if you're rusty, this is a great time to go ahead and kind of reacquaint yourself with the moveset of the salamander dagger. Looks like there's a disturbance up ahead. So here we're going to have a handful of enemies we need to face off with, including a bear. We don't really want to aggro everybody. But if we can pull some of these enemies aside, do an R2 and then R1s to finish them off, that's ideal. So we can pull this one as well. R2, R1, R1, and dead. Insane. Rinse, repeat. The puppet string is by far the strongest weapon and most effective in my opinion. I absolutely love it. So here what we could do is, if you're not feeling very confident with the guards, we could certainly go ahead and use our grindstone. But we can grab this item before we forget. Use the grindstone. And then we're going to run up and get in some perfect blocks here. Allow him to attack. And we'll get in some strong R2s. Use our Fable Art to back away. Now we've removed his cage, so he's not going to be nearly as strong now. We want to get that fatal attack if we can. Yeah, these enemies are quite strong. Dodge to the side if you can. If you didn't time it right like I didn't there, then that's okay. But that is the grab. Big R2s here. And that should finish him off. But again, that is kind of a taste of what the enemies are like in the DLC. They are quite difficult. And they hit really hard too. So we do want to make sure that, you know, we avoid the grabs if at all possible, because those are quite devastating. But here we have one of our first changes of outfits here. And this is the Winter's Hunting Hat and Winter's Hunting Apparel. We'll go ahead and check these out. Matter of fact, we'll just go to our costume right here. And we'll put on the Winter's Hunting Apparel. And, of course, the hat that goes along with it. So there you go. This is the kind of the armor set that we're going to be playing with in this cold portion of the game. And it looks pretty stylish. I'm not a big fan of it. I love a lot of the outfits, but this one in particular, it's okay. It's definitely okay. Check your weapon durability, and then we can go ahead and grab this, and then we're safe. We've made it to the first stargazer. That bear was quite a menace. You want to make sure that you read all of the articles and lore documents that you pick up, because sometimes they might have certain benefits by, you know, for example, teaching you emotes, giving you clues to other locations, etc.
Krat Zoo? How is that still here? Wait. Something's not right.
So we're going to go ahead and make it to this first stargazer. And we we do want to rest and all that good stuff. See, that's not me. We do want to talk with Gemini.
How can it be winter all of a sudden? And where exactly are we?
No telling, no telling. But it doesn't seem like we're in the right place, and definitely not the right time, huh? If you haven't played in a while, it will kind of reteach you how to play again, and things like dashing and using your menu and all of that. You're going to get those tutorials all over again. Here we have a beautiful view of the Krat Zoo that we're going to be exploring every inch of to get all the secrets. But here we are. Lovely.
Yes, it is. That's Krat Zoo. How in the blazes? And I mean that literally. The zoo burned down a long time ago. Just give me a minute to think about this.
Alright. And then from here, we're going to be face off with a few of the newer enemies. Like, it is a dog type enemy or possibly a wolf, but in either case, we know that they're evil bastards because dogs in Souls games are evil. If you're able to get off the first R2, then you can just jam R1 and you can spam it until they no longer are able to kind of deal with it. You can stun lock them essentially. So if you pull off an R2 and then R1, you're going to be in great shape. You'll be able to essentially stun lock them and keep them at bay. The only problem is if there are more than one enemy, then you do want to ensure that you don't get surrounded, because they can be quite devastating. Alright, so we're coming up on one of the newer enemies here as well. And this one here, I'm going to show you exactly how you want to deal with it. First, we want to make sure that this lady doesn't aggro. Okay, it looks like she's fine. We can bring him along if we want. And remember that the elevation will make you miss sometimes, but all we're going to do is let him do this to us and let us accumulate freeze. And then we're going to want to die. So as the freeze is kind of kicking in, doing its thing, if we have the freeze element or affliction on us, that should be sufficient for us to get an emote. And the emote is going to be shivering. So if you die with the element or you die because of the element and the affliction, you get the shiver emote. And I know that's funny that I taught you guys how to die, but now if you ever wanted to actually equip the gesture, you can do so in your belt slot. So this is what it looks like. And it's just a nice little secret gesture that you normally would not unlock unless you died to freeze or died while having the freeze affliction activated. So that's that for you. So we got Carlo freezing to death over here. And if you didn't want to die there, don't you worry. There is another area you can more safely die in, but I honestly believe it's excellent practice for the doggos because they are incredibly difficult in the beginning. So here you get a few practice runs for the dogs. But yeah, no more though. That was kind of a joke, but also, hey, I hope you guys enjoyed. R2 and then spam R1. R2 and then spam R1. It's okay if we didn't get the R2 and then we're going to dodge roll so we can avoid this guy. R2 and then spam R1. Can stun lock even the humans as well. And so now we should be safe. But remember, just to stay calm there. Again, it is quite... It can be a little overwhelming or terrifying when they're all around you, so you don't want to allow them that opportunity. So we want to bait this guy and make sure we don't aggro the humanoid enemy. The carcass. See how you can see the elevation? It allows you to miss. Wanted to kind of showcase that. It's super easy to miss, and that's why I wasn't doing that with the dogs. I did not press forward there. That was my controller. My apologies. Then we can spam R1. Same thing with them. I want to stay away from the freeze. I'm not moving forward. That's my controller actually fighting against me, so If you see strange movements like that where I'm moving forward in an area that obviously is not ideal, it's my controller. There you go. Bring him over here just for fun. Very nice. We'll bring him over here as well. It's a great way to initiate the encounter because you're staggering them. There you go. Spam R1. That'll get them stun locked. They're not going to be able to hurt us now. And then from here we can go ahead and move forward this way. It's better to die to frost earlier than later, honestly. So here we have a bit of an ambush, and what we want to do is ensure that this enemy attacks us first. That little raised pile of snow is actually hiding an enemy. So as long as we don't get too close to it, and don't move any forward anymore, we should be good to go. R2, R1, R1, and now we can activate or initiate this ambush here, and then we can do the same thing. Use the puppet string to kind of initially stagger these enemies. If not, they have an incredible amount of poise. So we're going to get the circus workers letter. This is pretty much the workers are starting to realize things are going awry, and there's something not right here. R2, spam R1. That's okay, we missed that. We're gonna spam R1 anyways. And then before we head off in the distance under this bridge, we're gonna actually go here, destroy this, and we can grab this item right here. It's a full moonstone of the Covenant. Excellent material to max out one of your weapons of choice. Right now we're still staying with the trusty salamander dagger and the electric coil, of course. Now we can head this way. And I am hopefully taking the advice that I received from the last iterations of the guide. So certain things like not reading all the dialogue, all the lore and things like that, that's going to be up to you guys. This is the Krat Zoo proper. This is where things get a little dicey. If you just rush towards these cages, the new ape-like enemies will rush out and kill us. So instead what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we stay safe. We're going to wait for this humanoid enemy to rush us, and then we're going to go ahead and... Yep, allow him to do that. There's the other enemy coming as well. There you go. This is a great way to open them up for attacks, and then as soon as they get up, you can do a charged R2 and then slash with R1. So I didn't want him to aggro as well, but he noticed me because the humanoid enemy aggroed and got all excited about it, so it happens. There's another cage right there that's going to have an enemy that's going to jump out at us. So you don't want to go for that, because if you went straight for that item, that would be an ambush. So what we're going to do instead is play it smart. We're going to allow him to express himself. We're going to do the same. As he starts getting up, we do the R2 and then R1 and he's dead. Now we can safely grab the item, which is a resplendent ergo fragment. And then we'll do the same thing with this one. Let him jump out. Allow him to express himself. As he starts doing his last crunch, the good old abs, we're going to go ahead and stab with R2 and then R1 spam. And that's that. So you've made quick work of an area that would honestly be full of traps and could be quite punishing if the enemies are all aggroed attacking you at the same time. So here we're going to have a big boy. This is a little bit more challenging, so as he approaches, we're going to want to go ahead and use the grindstone. He'll cover ground pretty quickly, so use your original attack, your fable attack. We'll do that, and then we're going to reactivate grindstone. Let him hit us as much as he needs to. Sneak in your R2s when you can. There you go. Spam R2 for a bit. Soften him up. As he continues to get up, we're going to spam R2s. R1. Heal. We're going to run away from this. Go in with an R2 and then R1 spam here. So if you're not comfortable with the timing of the perfect guard, just retreat. Sprint away. which is actually a lot harder for my character because it's constantly pressing forward. So like when I run back, look at how it's doing it. It's actually forcing me to move forward. So anyways, but if you have trouble with that, just create some distance. He won't track you all the way. So that is the elite enemy that will not respawn. He's quite challenging, so if you're not able to take him out, or if you weren't able to maximize the usage of the perfect grindstone, don't worry, just try again. It will be a little bit of a hike, but you're fine. If you go down this middle section, you're going to see the lore here, and this is Colonel Little's Guide to Krat Zoo. As per usual, at least go through the motions of reading the documents or whatever else, so that you can get the benefit of learning things like emotes and things I'm going to show you along the way. So we're going to open up this main door to the exhibit. And we're going to listen to this dialogue.
To think that you would enter this place while I, Markiona, the puppeteer of death, am here. Have you no fear?
So here we're introduced to Markiona, which is going to be one of the boss enemies for this particular area. She is quite a fiend, and her boss fight is quite challenging in a unique way that we'll definitely cover when we get there. But when it comes to leveling up, looks like we have enough to level up. As I mentioned earlier, I want to show you that if you actually do try to teleport from any stargazer to another, you can switch times by simply pressing triangle, and you can go to different timelines. But we're going to focus on leveling up. They now have a new feature where you can use held ergo, which is pretty much the ergo that is in the consumable format as well. It's a pretty nice little function if you like it. We're gonna go for advanced because I want max damage. So I want to get this up to 30, and then I'm gonna bump capacity up to 30, and then we're just gonna keep pumping in some a little bit more vigor. I think I need a little bit more stamina so I can be comfortable. Right now we're using primarily relying on the amulets. And I don't really like that. It's just a nice way to do it if you're trying to avoid having to invest in it, but I would like to have more damage from the amulets versus anything else. So, all right, we've replenished everything we need. You can take a look at all of this chaos. You can tag all of these. You don't get anything for reading any of these, but you just learn about the different animal noises, like what does the fox say and all that stuff. So if you never knew or you've always wondered what it is, then now you know. What does the fox say? Alright. So you can read all of these or not. It just activates the little noise. And then if you circle behind the mammoth, you're going to see another pamphlet. And this one's important. You certainly want to read this one, because it'll give you the Play Dead emote. And we're going to actually want to apply and equip the Play Dead emote, because it will come in handy in a little bit when we encounter a different type of enemy. So gonna be lots of fun here. I forgot to show you this right here. This is a shot put, which actually isn't gonna be too bad to have on our person. There's a few things we're gonna be dealing with, new enemy types that are quite challenging, and I'll show you how to deal with them the best. So we'll do an R2, R1 spam, very nice. Bring him over to us as well. R2, R1 spam. Remember, the puppet string is incredible for a few reasons, and primarily because it does allow you to stagger enemies in an area in a game which is very difficult to do so otherwise. If you go out to this area here, we're going to see a bloodied survivor here.
Someone save me.
So let's have a chat with him.
Madam Stalker, is it you? You've come back. Oh, no, you're not. I thought she'd return to save me. The Stalker with red hair. She helped me escape, brought me here. The bounty blinded me. My greed, my ambition, one mortal wound puts an end to it all. But I did find something. A clue. The Savannah Experience Center. Go there. if you see her, the red-haired stalker, give her my thanks. Tell her this isn't her fault. Merely the death of a pathetic fool, blinded by greed.
So unfortunately he does pass away, but we find out maybe the reason why we were brought to this place and time that we don't quite understand yet. So it says missing Romeo, looking for the stalker Romeo. So Romeo's gone missing essentially, and somebody's been Leia, the stalker Leia, has put out a kind of a bounty for and a reward for any information or anything like that related to the whereabouts of Romeo. So really interesting find there, and something you can easily miss. So here you have two pathways you can pick from. Honestly, you can go this route. It truly doesn't matter. You can pick whatever route you want, because eventually you're going to have to circle around on either side. So this path though does have a bit of a close off area, so I do like this one a little bit. And go right up here. I'm going to continue this way actually, and there should be, as you can tell, items and then a few other enemies on the side patrolling this little pathway here. So we have this one here, and then we have the one getting up. Oh. That's very cool. Alright, and then now that we're here, you can break through these boxes and you can grab the item. What's on the other side of it. This is not the extent of everything in this area, but what we do want is we want to grab these items first. We can go through the crop mysteries of the taxidermist, which there's a little bit of lore there. And then you want to take note of this area. Okay, this is the crocodile, or what was it, an alligator or crocodile that was pretty much it was like taxidermied or whatever. So it's been preserved. So what we're going to do is we'll be coming back here much later on, but just remember this location and how to get here. So from the mammoth statue, you go up, so the mammoth stargazer, you go up the stairs and to the left, and this is where you're going to find it. Okay, really easy, but it is something that you can forget after you haven't been here in quite some time. Now if you notice, there was a pathway outside, so we're going to be exploring that as well. And you want to take note that there's going to be two beasts down here, two of these apes. Ideally, you just want to aggro one at a time. And the one that's right here should see us. But if for whatever reason he's not cooperating, we can just do that. There you go. He was over there really excited about the boxes. He typically aggroes quite quickly and easily, but he was just being a jerk, and that's fine. We all have our moments. So we have our first quartz. We're going to need lots of this to get the rest of the quality of life that we need to not only max out our fable charges, but also we're going to want to potentially increase our stagger window, and even for quality of life, we may want to enhance the ability to wield more than one arm. So if we want another Legion arm equipped at any given time, which is going to be quite useful in this next area, that's something that we could definitely consider looking towards. So if you have some spare quartz, an extra Legion arm slot is going to give you lots of quality of life. Alright, so you're safe here. You're not going to get ambushed from the left, so we can go ahead and pull her aside though. Do the R2 and R1 spam, which is one of my favorite attacks. This weapon just fantastic. It can just do so much damage non-stop, it seems. Here we're going to have an ape enemy that's going to be coming. You don't want to go too far out just because there are other enemies that can aggro as well. So as soon as we get his attention, we can pull him in. R2 and then R1 spam. You can see how much damage they do just by hitting. Even through the, the guard, if it's not a perfect guard, the amount of damage you receive is just monumental. Pick up this anti-freeze ampule, so if you're having trouble with freeze, I'll show you two ways that you can deal with it. The antifreeze ampule is obviously one of the more effective ways. And then there's another method you can use. I call it the poor man's antifreeze ampule, and I'll show you exactly how to do that. So, as we're making our way through here, there is going to be a bit of a trap or an ambush sequence. So, just so you know, this is where we came from. We've now just made a right from the mammoth statue. There's going to be like a Resident Evil series of window breaks. And we want to stay really aggressive. We're going to go with the puppet string attack, dash behind him, do a charged R2 and then R1. That way the second enemy is already dead before he can even do anything. So there you have it. Again, quite a challenging encounter if you're not ready for it, and it can really, really shock you and freak you out. So it's okay. We get it. There's a few things you can do with this enemy. Honestly, this enemy is incredibly tanky. If you're having difficulty with it, trying to face off with it, you know, fair and square, I would say, you can use your thermite or even fire abrasives. It's really just your choice. The thermite does not hurt at all, though. Honestly, either one of these can deal a decent amount of damage, but the enemy is quite tanky. So what we're going to want to do is once we soften it up with some of these, we're going to use our perfect grindstone, get down there and do some combat. But this is a great way to soften it up. It is a lot slower than most methods, but you can reach it from a pretty good distance. So once he's clear, and once he kind of stops moving, that's good enough. We'll just do throw some thermite cells at his head. There you go. Now he's on fire. He's not very happy. And what we're going to do is we're going to come down here. We're going to apply our perfect grindstone. And we're going to block whatever we can here. Go ahead and do that if we need to. Reapply that fire. Heavy strikes there. There you go. Now, at this point, the grindstone's probably worn out, so we got to be careful here. Be prepared to block. Perfect grindstone yet again. There you go. Heavy attack. Just don't hit it against the wall for some reason. Once he's stunned, he's down for the count, and he's good to go. So now we can just get away from him, watch him die. That was, again, quite challenging. And again, if you don't have thermite or anything like that, use your perfect grindstones. Like I said earlier, that's going to be an absolute lifesaver in many of these encounters. So we're going to grab some more thermite, which is pretty much a hint to say, oh, maybe I should use that. And these are just more animal sounds and things like that. It's just exhibits for the different creatures. I like reading them though. I mean, it's kind of funny. It's like going to a real museum, except there's not dead people everywhere. So from here, we now have a nice little image of this bear. So from this bear, we're going to want to go right. Okay? Another thing we're going to do is we're going to remove this thermite. We don't really need it much anymore. So we're going to bring this guy over. I'm going to take him out. There's going to be this enemy, which is a newer variant of like a acid flinging or decay flinging enemy. We can just run through it, charged R2 or just a running R2 more so, and then spam with R1, and these guys are quite easy to take out from that point. Good thing to note is that there's going to be a special weapon for us. There you go. I was going to say there's an item around here somewhere. We get the Legion magazine, and then more importantly, we get this right here, which is going to be one of the first, or our very first DLC weapon actually that we can obtain, which is the Royal Horn Bow. The bow is going to be scaling with technique, which is the dexterity equivalent, and it is decent. It's very situational, so it doesn't deal tons of damage just per arrow, but you can fire off a series of arrows based on if you have Fable charges. You can also then go and do some really neat kind of evasive maneuvers if you let it go at the right time versus a little bit later. You can see the difference there in the recovery. So It's timing based as well, so there's a lot of reward for it, but it is quite situational. I enjoyed using it when I could, but ultimately I found that it was a little underwhelming, and I didn't upgrade it because I was just hoarding all of my materials. As you guys know, I love to hoard my materials. Alright, so now that we're here, we're going to run back over this side to the left of the bear. Well, actually it's the bear's right, but we're going left at the bear, I should say. An R2 for her, R1 spam, and then we can bring him over, interrupt him, finish him off as well. If you want to take that a little slower, just wait for the ape to aggro, and then you can pull him in and do the R2 and R1 spam, and then do the same for her. I just lack the patience. But trust me, sometimes that'll get me killed, so don't worry. Play it however you feel confident. Play that situation however you feel confident. Now, if you noticed, there's a balcony, and the balcony that was actually overlooking this area was the one with the bloodied man. So we're going to be kind of working our way down here. There's going to be a handful of carcasses we're going to need to deal with and dispatch. Wait, let them aggro. That way they can kind of come to you at their own pace. And now, as this one's running, we can dodge to the side. R1 spam, dodge away if we can. There you go. R1 spam for her now. And don't panic, remember, just because they're attacking, you don't want to panic roll. This isn't Dark Souls, right? Although it is a Souls-like, it doesn't necessarily reward rolling like a maniac. Instead, proper positioning, you know, maintaining your composure, and perfect guarding is going to be much more rewarding for you. So there's a few things I want to show you to prepare you for this next sequence. And if you go on this bridge here, we're going to actually make our way to the other side of this bridge, and you might notice that Gemini is actually glowing red, which means there's a butterfly nearby. This is a very unique and special variant of the butterfly. So what we're going to be doing is from this side of the bridge, we're going to be grabbing the item that's on there and then dropping down. The butterfly triggers usually right around where my head is with the log. We're going to try and not activate it so that we can safely take out the 3 enemies. It's 1, 2, and 3. And then killing the butterflies and grabbing that loot. So we're going to try and do our best to make that happen. And we'll see how it works out. It should be a nice way to get it without having to kill all the butterflies. We're getting shot by everything.
The zoo's still standing and intact. Is it possible that the Stargazer sent us back in time? Because I remember a day like this. A day when snow was falling on the zoo.
And yes, Gemini, it has taken us back in time. And for the purposes of this area, it's quite annoying because of the dog enemies. There's going to be 3 of them. But we're going to be dealing with them only a single time and never again. So this is going to be a shortcut you want to open up so you can go straight to the Stargazer on the other side of the mammoth. We can go ahead and replenish all of our heals and our grindstone uses, which is going to be quite important. But I'm going to be showing you a few interesting methods and funny things you can do. So if you look here, it's it'll indicate when you can travel and potentially have other reactions with other NPCs. And if you notice, if we change the timeline and we go back to the barren swamp, you can actually go back to our little friend and teach him more emotions, or now more emotes. So we will be doing that in due time, but we want to learn one more first. That way we can just knock it all out in one trip. Okay, so this is going to be the more difficult scenario here. We're going to go through just a single time, and we're going to take out, there's going to be 3 dogs, and then this enemy, humanoid enemy to the left, the carcass, and then the bear. That way we can take the bridge, grab the item, clear out those 3 enemies from above, and not trigger the butterfly. If we were to head forward, the butterfly would trigger, and then we could potentially miss it. So we don't want to go that route necessarily. We do want to grab this item first before we forget. And then now we can go over here. We're going to trigger that first dog and get aggro and see if we can there you go, pull him in. R2, a miss, that's okay. So now we just need to retreat. There you go, we'll just spam R1. So again, pretty terrifying if they surround you because they're just jerks. They're just jerks like that. But what we want to do just for fun is we're going to equip the Play Dead emote. We're going to grab this item over here. We're going to stay to the left. We're going to aggro this carcass. R2 and R1 spam, of course. And then we're going to circle around here and grab this item. If the bear notices us, we can easily get him to de-aggro by activating the Play Dead emote. So here, we got his attention. We're going to play dead. And if you use the Play Dead emote, the bear simply walks away. And you get a funny dialogue line from Gemini, of course. He ain't happy with us, though. Alright, we're going to use the perfect grindstone here. Sprint away. He's trying to grab us. He grabbed us anyways. There you go. Broke his little hat. We're going to try and activate the heat with him. I'm going to redo our perfect grindstone here. Get in some strong attacks because this guy's everywhere. Get behind him, do a charged R2. Heal again. Again, it's not a bad thing to use your heals here. You need to, honestly. Because it doesn't matter, we're only going to be searching this first area anyway. So that's another bear down, and that's how you use the Play Dead emote. More fun than anything. Honestly, it's not like some ideal strategy. The bear will eventually come back, so we want to run inside the bear's cage. And then we get the Winter Sleep Amulet. The Winter Sleep Amulet is going to help against like freeze and things like that, so increases your freeze resistance. There will be a bit of that, of course, with some of these enemies along the way, so there's nothing else in this cage, but what we can do now is we're going to ignore this path and ignore this over here for now, because we're going to be making our way to this side first, or the bridge. And then if we have some throwables, we can go ahead and equip them. And you want to keep your ear out for the butterfly. So he's kind of in a bad position, actually. But what we can do is we can run down here. We're going to go for it anyways. R1 spam. Circle around. Get her attention. And we're taking cover from the second enemy. They can throw projectiles. And then we can just R2, R1 spam, and it's dead. And we didn't trigger the butterfly yet, so that's excellent. We can check our durability, because why not? And then we'll go ahead and open up this chest for some more goodies. This is going to net us a Legion Caliber, which is a way to upgrade our Legion arm. And then as we run back, now we can aggro the little white butterflies, which is the new variant. And the same thing goes, R2 and then R1 spam works fine. R2 and then R1 spam, or just R1 spam all the way. Once you kill all 3 butterflies, you get another quartz. So we're going to be getting quite a bit of quartz along the way, and it's fantastic. Trust me, you're going to love it. So now we're done with this major area. We're going to be exploring the other half of this zoo as we make our way towards the next major open area called the savannah. So now we can go ahead and return to the Stargazer. This is a great opportunity to replenish our perfect grindstone as well, because at this point you shouldn't have anything left because we just used it on the bear, unfortunately. And you know, I forgot to grab that item, so we're going to grab this item as well. And it's going to be, you know, something that we may, if we miss anything, I'll make sure we get it. But unfortunately, I was in the zone. when I'm chatting as much as I am, when I'm talking with you guys, kind of narrating and what we're doing and what we plan to do, it's quite easy to forget these little details, but good thing is, hey, everything is fixable. There's nothing that we can't improve upon or fix, or any mistake that we can't just find a solution for. So there you go. We didn't miss anything after all. So what we're going to do is we're going to hug the left-hand side so we don't aggro any of the dogs. As long as you don't aggro that middle dog, he's not going to howl and bring along his friends. So what we're going to do is from this side instead, we're going to actually pull her, and that's going to protect us from the projectile from that creature. We're going to dodge to the right. We're going to rush him, R2 and then R1 spam. We're going to avoid this as well, wait for the carcass to come. Puppet string, R2 and then R1. And now we have a clear shot for this enemy. We're going to run diagonally, R2 and then R1, and he's dead as well. So at this point in time, you will want to have your play dead emote. I removed it a bit prematurely. And you want to go ahead and use it right next to this dead bear. So you want to play dead next to the dead bear. Yes, that's a bit morbid, but we get a half moonstone material for that. So there are certain locations where you can use the emote to get things like this. And of course, reactions from other NPCs and all that good stuff. So I'm going to show you everything that I know so far that I've explored and discovered on my own. Alright, so up here, there is going to be another one of those carcasses that fling the acid at us. And there's a few ways you can deal with it. I mean, you can just perfect guard it if you want. I'm going to try and showcase that. Not at all. There you go. And then you can rush them and do an R2 and R1 spam. Or you can just rush him from the get-go and dodge his initial strike. So that's really all we need to do. And then from there, we're going to have a ladder. We can take the ladder down. And as we go down this ladder, there is going to be a larger enemy, one of the elite ape-like enemies that we faced off with earlier. What we want to do is we want to go ahead and pop our grindstone and get ready to face off with him. We can do our puppet kind of string attack here. There you go. Unfortunately, our thing is probably run out already. No worries. No worries. We'll charge an R2 here and get a quick fatal attack on this guy. And as he's getting up, we can do a charged R2 and just finish him off. So that's going to be the best way to do it. Unfortunately, we did have to use 2 of the grindstones, which is unfortunate. You would want to just use the 1 if possible. So I popped it a bit early. But we're going to get an ancient disc, which is essentially an exchange item that you can trade. And you can trade that item for when we meet a new NPC here in the near future. So let's go ahead and get her attention first. Bring the puppy dog, let him do his thing. R1 spam. This guy aggro, that's unfortunate. Lovely. Now had we only used a single perfect grindstone, that would have been ideal, because now we do have to technically go back, but we don't have to face off with the elite ape anymore. Instead we can just run through here and we'll be just fine. The ape does respawn though. So instead what we're going to do is we're just going to take this route over here. Nice and safe. But the worrisome part is, of course, that the dogs, or the wolves or whatever, they're listening. Ever so watchful. You can just go back around this way. Try not to aggro the puppy dogs. And yeah, we are going to have to go ahead and tag the Stargazer again. It's almost required because this next section without a perfect grindstone is quite difficult because of another enemy variant we're going to get. And this enemy is very tough. Quite tough indeed. And what we can do is honestly, since I want to get a little bit more, let's see, I would like to get a lot more actually. We're going to save one of these. we're going to use some ergo here so we can level up. And I really want this capacity and advance up so that we can get even more levels focused on other things I need. So I think I might be happy with that. There you go. All right, so I'm gonna try and bump this up a bit. Let's see, how many levels do we get? So we get 4. Lovely. And then I want that to come up. Honestly, because it doesn't quite matter. If you're willing to use your ergo, feel free to do so. I'm going to. I am going to, because I want my stamina up. I want to have a lot of stamina so we can deal the damage we need to with the change of amulets here. So we're going to be upgrading some amulets. So we don't necessarily need so much more max stamina or anything like that. We can try and substitute them for something a little different. So maybe something that would allow us to deal more damage. That would be fantastic. Reduce weapon durability. We're not really having much issue with that, so that's fine. Motivity and technique, that's never a bad thing, but we really just going for advance, so nothing crazy there. We could increase our limit here, which would be fantastic. So if we use this, for example, yeah, we'll change this out right here. This is the leaping amulet. If we just increase max stamina, let's see, we can potentially change that one out as well. Puppets, crit attack, okay. So nothing too crazy. We're okay with that then. We'll keep the max stamina then for now. But yeah, that's much better. As you can tell, we feel a lot better with that. We should no longer be heavy, so if we need to wield more than one weapon at a time, we can do that. Or a second Legion arm will still be at the point where we're just only, if anything, slightly heavy or not heavy at all, which is ideal. As we approach this, we want to make sure that this lady doesn't attack us, but she wants to. We're just trying to hug this side so we don't aggro the dogs. He's not paying attention. Lovely. And so if we were to go back the other way, then yeah, we'd have to deal with all those fools again. Including the big guy. Can't believe I missed that. He didn't even move, but it happens. All right. That missed puppet string strike kind of ruined everything, didn't it? All right, so now he can't get us anymore. We're gonna keep away from him so he don't come and attack us. We're gonna wait for him to aggro, because if we move too far forward, that happens. There you go. We can go ahead and puppet string him as well. R2, R1, R1. Now we're going to be facing off with a stronger variant of that same enemy. So very soon, in fact. So what we want to do is go ahead and prepare for that. Get this guy over here quickly. R2, R1, R1, and just along this corner, I'm going to be dealing with this guy next. Go ahead and block because he can cover some crazy ground there. As long as his little legs are up, he is very dangerous, so if he's on his tail, do not let up on the guard. We're going to go ahead and do our heavy strike here. Just for safety, you can go ahead and reapply because there's going to be a stargazer 2 feet away. Let him go through his attacks, get stunned, and we can finish him off. That enemy is incredibly difficult to fight without the perfect grindstone, or if you're just trying to learn his rhythm because he has such a strange attack pattern. So I did mention earlier that there was an area that you could die to frost. This would be the second best area to die to frost at. Because you're probably going to die to frost at least once. So what we're going to do is we're going to rest, we're going to recover our grindstone uses, and we're going to talk with Gemini for a moment.
No doubt about stake my life on it. If, you know, I was alive, anyway. This doesn't make sense. Krat Zoo burned down after the frenzy began. But this place looks fine. Well, aside from all the corpses. How is this still standing?
Alright. So now we have our grindstone uses replenished. We can grab this item over here, which is a miraculous enhancement ampule. It's going to increase our HP, stamina, and legion, temporarily the max amount anyways. And then here we have this incredibly strong variant of the elephant enemy that we faced off with a little bit earlier. Remember that if you have the freeze ampules, it's definitely something you can utilize. If not, there's another way you can kind of get rid of the freeze. What we want to do is we want to go ahead and activate our perfect grindstone and then get ready to engage with this dum-dum. We want to apply the burn if we can. There you go, and I'm going to go ahead and reapply this. That's okay, that hurt pretty good. If he starts stuttering like that, he's going to transform. He's trying. There you go. Now he has freeze in his little repertoire as well. Back away and watch for the freeze. Again, quite a challenging enemy, of course. You can use your thermite, you can use a number of different things to try and survive, but he's going to be challenging no matter how you do it. He's got tons of health as well, so now that we've been frozen, we are slowed down considerably, but if we dash backwards, we can get rid of our freeze pretty quickly. And we can go back in for the fight. And one for the charge. That's okay. Over here. Get our little shanks on. Spam R1. And we can roll like crazy. We're gonna get the genius plug for all of our hard work. And that's gonna allow us to craft a new Legion arm. But now that enemy won't respawn, so we can go back and heal. Again, a very challenging enemy. Honestly, the best way to deal with him is just by maximizing the usage of your perfect grindstone, and then just trying to get off a few of those, like maybe thermite cells. Get them on fire. That's the one thing you want to do. That way you can do some damage over time while he's flailing around trying to freeze you. But that is a great opportunity to die to freeze, because you're likely to die there on your first time. But you grab that balance crank, and then we're going to go around here, grab this item as well. Another anti-freeze ampule. It's like, oh, would have loved to have that ahead of time, but you can certainly use any of the ones you had that you've acquired up to this point anyways. So you're going to see this tree over here. We definitely want to head that way. If you've been following along and you completed all of the quests that I showed you how to complete in the base game, you should have a recollection item called the Faded Whistle. The Faded Whistle was the police whistle that the children used to use when they were playing with the cop puppet that we ended up having to defeat at the Krat City Hall area. It's Toma's whistle. So if you read the sign, it says, "Quiet please, the birds are resting. Please do not shout or blow whistles near the aviary." If you look at your item, you can then go ahead and use it. If you use it, you of course disturb the birds, but you do get something more important than their peace of mind, and that is the golden seed. The golden seed is going to be something that we plant at a place that's very familiar to us when we arrive at the right time. And once we do, I'll show you exactly how to benefit from it and what it can be used for at the end of the playthrough. So don't get stuck on that sign like I did. And you can go around here, grab this item, And there's going to be some more enemies down here. This is an interesting area. I'm going to kind of do the layout for you. I purposely died on the previous attempt that I edited out because I wanted to showcase a few things here. We have this enemy here that we're going to take out very quickly. And then we have these enemies, which is more like an elite, plus 2 of those kind of carcass acid spitting enemies. And then we have this snowball here. This snowball is going to be used as a trap, and it can be used to our advantage if we're careful. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop down here. We can use the whole puppet string combo here, the fully charged puppet string attack. Watch this ambush right here. R2, R1, R1. All right. Now we're looking good. And now what we want to do is we want to make sure we aggro everybody as straight on as possible. Kill him if you want. And as he approaches, you're going to tuck yourself into this corner here. And that's going to take out the big guy. Weaken him severely. And then we can get our charged attack, our fatal strikes, all of that good stuff. And we can use our Fable attack to finish him off. So that's ideal. I did die purposely so that you guys could see that. Wanted to make sure that you see how to make quick work of them versus fighting them with the perfect grindstone. It's just not necessary. You can use that snowball to your advantage. So I went ahead and let myself die in here so you guys could see. You guys are like, no, in the comments I bet you're gonna be like, no, you just died. Maybe, but the power of editing, you'll never know. So anyways, what we're gonna do is we're gonna open up this and get one of our pretty much the second DLC weapon that we can obtain. This is gonna be a pretty interesting weapon. It's actually surprisingly a technique based weapon primarily. I thought it was going to be like a big rape here, but instead it's more like a, like a rocket, a handheld rocket. So that's the charged R2. That's pretty much the only R2 you can do. And then you can do the R1 spam. So an interesting weapon nonetheless, but the moveset, definitely allows for things to surround you. And I don't like that. That's just asking for instant death. So anyways, now that we come up this bridge, we're going to have some dialogue from Gemini, because he just keeps running his mouth. Or maybe not.
Alchemists? What are they doing here?
So here we have an announcement for the Brotherhood of Truth, and this is of course led by Markiona. Markiona is a crazy, crazy lady. She did begin as a workshop technician and then went to the side of the alchemists. But yeah, she's quite interesting in regards to the lore and how it all kind of played out. Her role with Camille, which happened to be a theory that I had made that, spoiler alert, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, the Camille is actually Carlo's mother, which was Geppetto's wife. So that was a theory that we had years ago that ended up being correct and proven correct in all of the lore that you find in this expansion. So really, really exciting. But anyways, this is just another kind of article talking about how she pretty much rose high in the ranks because she discovered the very first puppet that, whose ergo awakened, which of course was Camille, the maid puppet who saved the baby. That baby was, of course, Carlo, which is the player character. We're just simply in a puppet body, but the ergo that is awakened inside this particular puppet is, of course, Carlo. So it is Carlo indeed. Not Carlos. Everybody keeps saying Carlos. It's Carlo Collodi. It's based off of Carlo Collodi, who's the author or creator of Pinocchio. Anyway, so here we're going to have another interesting encounter here. I will be doing a lore video on exactly what happened here. And then we can go ahead and tag this stargazer. We can rest because why not? And then as we make our way up here, this is just kind of the upstairs area. This will end up being a shortcut for the boss. So this, at this point in time, is currently locked, but it will be just fine before long. We're We're going to grab the special purification ampule and then go back downstairs. We're going to return to Hotel Krat because we do need a new Legion arm to be crafted so that we can actually deal with things. So we're going to go to the current timeline, travel to Hotel Krat. We're going to craft our Legion arm. Remember, we obtained the Genius Legion plug from the elephant giraffe demon carcass monster creature. And we're going to use that to form a new arm. In one single playthrough, you can obtain, if it's a New Game Plus playthrough, you can obtain every single remaining trophy. If it is not a New Game Plus playthrough, you can't obtain, the only thing you can obtain is the fact that you can't obtain all the golden records, because golden records can only be located, found, and purchased in a New Game Plus file. So we're going to go to craft the Legion arm, and we want to craft Icarus. We can craft either Cataclysm or Icarus. Icarus is going to be kind of like a Captain America shooty blade thing that returns, really, really good to have. And then Cataclysm is also pretty powerful, but I do prefer this one for some long range. It does have a kind of a unique, it's kind of like an untold skill that it has, and I'm going to show you kind of what the attribute is. So we do want to exchange it, and we want to go ahead and strengthen it as well. So if we go to Icarus, we can strengthen not only the blade, but also we want to do the double reload, which is going to launch 2 blades at once. And now we just need to have more. If you wanted to do that, you can actually charge it with Fable to go crazy with it. I've never even used that on my off-stream file, but it does look quite awesome. Really good for crowd control. Okay, so now we have that arm as well. We could technically switch it out. It's a great time to switch it out now before we forget. So we can go ahead and switch this arm to this one. When we get more quartz, we can activate the P organ that allows us to have a second arm equipped. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the Stargazer, and since we're in this timeline, we're going to go to the Barren Swamp and chat with our friend. We're going to teach him what it's like to play dead and see what feelings that elicits from our friend. So he's going to be right here just to the left of the Stargazer. We can run over to him, and we can teach him how to play dead.
How scary losing someone can be. I may not be able to cry, but I hope I can comfort others now. Thank you.
And that's going to net us some cat dust. Cat dust is going to allow us to fall from high distances or big heights and not take as much damage as we normally would. So that's always good. But we're going to return to the Savannah Experience Center with our newly crafted Legion arm. And the best way to use the Legion arm is to hold L2 and charge it until both of the blades are loaded, and then you can shoot 2 blades at once, and they just kind of circle around the enemy before they return. So it's a really nice thing. And after they've been fired a single time, you're going to notice that in the bottom left, an icon with the Icarus arm is going to be there, and you're going to see the blades turn red. It's because the blades have become heated, and that's that kind of hidden attribute that they have. They will then be more powerful and deal more damage. So here we can go around and grab the Sawtooth Wheel. That's a hint to go ahead and use Throwables to kill this guy, but we're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to take cover right here so he doesn't aggro. Oh, okay, buddy. Wrong button. There you go. I didn't have my health equipped. Alright, so you can see he's throwing rocks. He's quite annoying. But what we can do is if we get right up here, we can actually fire them. I was trying to perfect guard that, but that's fine. That my own blade threw me off. That's fine though. But you can fire these like crazy. It's fine. There's only one other enemy we have to take care of like this anyway, so. The Sawtooth Wheels and any other throwables work just as fine, but you're going to need those And if you don't want to go and purchase them and restock from merchants, then hey, it's fine. So we're going to run this way. And this is of course replenishable, you know, they don't ever truly run out. You can always use the Legion magazines if they do. I'm going to go ahead and grab the Fable Catalyst, circle around this area here, and then we're going to grab this item, Cluster Grenade. We got some more friends over here, lovely. R2 and then R1 spam. R2 and then R1 spam. There are 2 elite enemies down there. We have the kangaroo and this ape as well. So we want to save, if we can, one of the perfect grindstones for each of them. From there, you could also use throwables or whatever else. So that's an option you have available. There you go. Go for the crazy flurry of strong attacks here. Then we can go for the fatal attack. Strong attack, and he's dead. So, even though he was kind of in our face, if you use the perfect grindstone, you know, at the right time, you can defend yourself. If you see that enemy up there, that's another ape that's going to throw rocks. So we're going to go around here though, so we don't have to get, or you know, pull aggro. Instead, we're going to pull aggro strategically. We want this guy to attack us. It does hit for 2 usually. There's 2 points of contact there, and that roll attack, so just be careful with that little introductory roll they do. And then we want to aggro him as well. Take cover. R2, R1, R1. And we want to kill this idiot if we can, as quickly as possible. Keep backing away each time. That should finish him off. And then now we can aggro this dum-dum. When he comes back. Any second now, buddy. There you go. R2 along the way. There you go, R2 to get the stun. As he's getting up, do our Fable attack and retreat, back away, Fable attack and retreat, and then he should die over time. There you go. So, again, a pretty challenging encounter here. It's so easy to die multiple times there, and it's okay. If you do, it's perfectly fine. Don't worry about it, okay? Like, look at me struggling to hit the barrel, right? Just imagine. So, you're going to run up here. Next, go up this ladder. There is another area we're going to clear out. We're going to take care of that area in just a moment. But we want to make sure we grab some goodies first. And the first thing we're going to do is run across this little bridge here. This is where the first enemy was that was giving us a heck of a time. And then we can go down here. You can roll or jump, whatever, doesn't matter. You're going to open up this chest. And we got even more goodies. We get the broken cutting grindstone and the broken piercing grindstone. Those are the 2 final grindstones that we can collect to have the entire collection, if you will. And now we can go this way to grab this item. And then once we clear out these enemies, we'll go here first. Fully charge that. Wait for him to come back. Keep moving laterally because we're not in the clear just yet. And then now we can try and pull the aggro for this one. That ape is not dead, so if you hit the ape that's on laying down, that will actually wake it up. And now he's dead. We can grab the technique crank, so now we have at least one of each type of crank. We got starting with the motivity and then we moved on to the others. We can grab this resplendent ergo up here. That's all for this particular area. Now we want to go ahead and open the shortcut before our first boss. Now this boss is incredibly difficult if you're not prepared. Honestly, I think the perfect grindstone does make it a bit more manageable, but in general, it's still quite a difficult encounter. So you want to make your way across this bridge. Do not go down the ladder yet, because you'll initiate the boss encounter. And then you want to go over here. So from here, this is just going to lead us to the shortcut. We can grab this little item right here, which is another letter. Plenty of letters from the alchemists here. It's just quite interesting to see kind of how things were unfolding years before not only the petrification disease was going in full effect, but also the puppet frenzy. So now, if you remember, this is going to be the upstairs area where we obtain some of the special miracle amplification juice and the stargazer. So from here, we're going to level up. We're going to keep pumping up our vigor and then eventually get our capacity down as well. Our capacity is really good now because we're not holding anything but a salamander dagger. But once we have that second arm, the legion arm that we currently have equipped is quite heavy. So it is something to consider. At this point, depending on your playstyle, you can go for the any legion arm you want. Puppet string, I would recommend if you're not using Icarus. So I'm going to switch back to puppet string just because I'm quite comfortable with it in combat. And then if we need to switch it up for some ranged areas, then we'll go back and equip Icarus so we can go ahead and attack enemies from afar. But what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to make sure we make great use of our perfect grindstone. So as soon as we're able to, we're going to go in and activate it so that we can prepare for this boss encounter. What we want to do is we want to use the grindstone and get up in his face and stay in the center of the arena if we can. So go ahead and pop it now. Carefully time these blocks. The range of the salamander dagger is noticeable here. So if you want to use an increased length handle, you certainly can do so. I'm going to go ahead and pop the grindstone again. Go for the charged R2s. We got to get that stun. That's alright, we're going to go ahead and heal again. Go for the charged R2. We did need a heal there, that's okay, but I'm going to go on this side so we can get close to the fatal. Begin our onslaught with the charged R2s again. Do the Fable Strike when we get a chance. That's alright. Go ahead and heal. Dodge to the side. That's the grab attempt there. Go ahead and heal. Spam as many heals as you need. It's going to be one of those kinds of fights. Try and stay on the offensive if you can, but honestly in between those perfect guards you have to time, it can be quite challenging. Even for me, it's still one of the harder bosses in the DLC, honestly. And then get the fatal attack if you can. If not, use your Fable and you should be dead. But yeah, it's again a challenging boss. Do not feel bad if you have to restart. I died a handful of times trying to narrate while I was fighting him, so.
Anyway, that was a huge takedown, buddy. Might I say you're pretty good at did this.
So there isn't going to be anything left in this arena, but we are going to make it to the next stargazer so that we can have a great stopping point. But yeah, this is his little lair. He had this entire arena, but of course he was hiding behind a big pile of snow. He was probably trying to stay warm here, or figure out how to grow thumbs so he could climb up the ladder. But fortunately he didn't do either of those things. Here we have an interesting introduction to an arch puppet, which is going to be the new puppets that Marchiona had kind of invented that were quite devastating and deadly.
My eternal master rules this zoo. Marchiona. You cannot enter without her permission. My master will kill you.
So these were forsaken puppets because not only were they kind of violating all of the rules of, you know, creation in regards to them being able to attack humans and things of that nature, they just followed Marchiona's will. So here we came from that pathway. We have this staircase, which is going to lead us to our next stargazer, and we have this pathway that's not going to be opened until much later, probably the end of the next episode. So what we're going to do first is we're going to make our way towards the stargazer leading to the greenhouse, and the greenhouse is going to lead us to Marchiona's boss fight. We'll then be kind of meandering our way through all the different areas and eventually find our way to the circus off in the distance. So we have much to explore and much to discover. And if you have any of the, or sufficient ergo to level, take the time to do that now. Aside from that, you can rest up and you can choose to, honestly I stick with the puppet string, but you can change that and prepare for the next episode. That is going to bring episode 1 of the 100% guide for the Lies of P Overture DLC to an end. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Stick around for part 2. Should be on screen now for your viewing pleasure. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And until next time, it's the Inhuman One signing out.